What are the three main reasons people get divorced or separate? And what are three things, if you're going through a divorce or separation and you're a guy and you're a film director, content creator or creative director, that you absolutely should not do? Divorce, separation, many reasons why it happens, but the top three generally is, let's say, number one, you've just become disconnected from your partner. You don't see eye to eye anymore. You're not intimate anymore. You just don't get on like you used to, and things have the flame has died, the fire has died between you both. This can happen for a number of ways, particularly if you are a film director and a content creator. That work just becomes overwhelming. There's so much work to do. I mean, this is what happened to me. 6 years working on a movie, crowdfunding it, editing it at home. I did hire a main editor, but ran out of money, so I ended up editing the whole film myself, doing the post on it myself. And at that time, I was living in London with my wife at the time, and then we left London and moved to Glastonbury, and I was still working on the film. So all of these things were happening in my life while I was still absolutely under the cosh of producing and directing this movie. And clearly it did affect the relationship. Clearly there was disconnect going on because so much of my time was spent working on this project that we didn't have time for one another. My ex-wife did actually work on the film with me, but aside from that, looking back now, I do realise that it had a huge impact on the disconnect of what was going on between us. And is that something that's happening for you? Are you completely consumed with work and you've just become disconnected from your partner, and she's got annoyed at you, she's got angry, you are trying your best to reconnect and that's not worked, but it's just not working out? This is pretty common for creatives, particularly because we get so involved in the creative process, and we that becomes a priority, doesn't it, guys? That becomes a thing that is all consuming. Reason number two tends to be if, you know, there's no fire in the bedroom anymore, there's no intimacy, the sex isn't great, and you have become tired, you've become, let's say, lazy to a certain extent, you've become a bit dissatisfied with how you are together, and you've looked or you've become attracted to somebody else. Be that yourself or your partner, this tends to be one of the second biggest reasons that divorce kicks in, that someone else has came on the scene. And then when you have an affair, when you're attracted to somebody else, all the benefits come with it, don't they? It's like you're not living with a person, you're not washing clothes after them, you're not doing dishes, you're not sharing the same bed, all the things that come with marriage. And look, don't get me wrong, I was married for 17 years, and for most of that time it was a wonderful experience. But when things start to derail, particularly in the bedroom, for you guys, that's when things there's just something about it, isn't there? I mean, if men are driven by two things generally, food and sex, if we have to put a fine line under it, and this is not to badmouth guys, but when it comes to what are two of the simple driving forces of men sometimes, it's like good food and am I getting great sex, or am I getting good sex, or am I having that release? Clearly there are many things. I'm being, humorous to a certain extent, but if there are issues in the bedroom, if the fire has gone out there, then that is issue number two. And if you're somebody that has met somebody else, if you're somebody that has started to have an affair and your wife doesn't know or does know, and that's been a contribution to the divorce, then I'm going to talk a bit further into the video about what not to do and what to do. Number three, it generally comes down to the big M, doesn't it? Money, finances. Are you the breadwinner? Are you earning more in the marriage and the relationship? Are you the person that's putting in more of the work? Or is she the one that's been putting in more of the work, and you're the one that's been working on that passion project, that creative project, that film that just hasn't been able to get the finance, that you still haven't been able to get somebody to support and fund, and it's drove her crazy. She's been supporting you through all your artistic endeavours, and it just hasn't worked out. Both scenarios are basically death. to a marriage ultimately. And as we know, when money is involved, when one person is potentially earning more than the other or contributing more than the other, in a marriage it can work if you're really open and you can negotiate these things, but it tends to be big number three that money issues are one of the contributing factors to the separation and the divorce. So they're the three, big three, not the two. Disconnection, fire in the bedroom has ended, or it wasn't even lit in the first place, and $3, money, pounds, euros, you name it, finances. What situation are you in? Is it any one of those three? Is it something else? I'd love to hear in the comments if you're feeling brave enough to put that in there. And so what are the three big no-nos what to do in that situation? Well, first of all, if it's the first one, if it's a disconnection and you've both really decided that you don't want to be together, then in this video here I've talked specifically about more reasons of the things to do to get your shit in order, to get your stuff in order, to make sure that certain things between you are agreed or disagreed. Clearly, if children are involved, this is a bigger issue, because then it's a matter of who gets custody, alimony, how is it going to be divvied up. Number two, if the fire has died in the bedroom and you're not feeling intimate towards your partner anymore, and you are seeing somebody else, or you're thinking of seeing somebody else, or she's gone to see somebody else, clearly in that scenario it's really, really tricky, because you're involving another person. And in this other video here, I talk specifically about the do's and don'ts of if you are and you with somebody else, then the things to avoid at all costs is just to become too involved while you're dealing with all the shit of the divorce, everything else that's going on. You've got enough on your plate, guys. You're dealing with enough as it is without involving somebody else. But if it's somebody that you've already connected with, that you've been seeing a lot of, then it's really tricky, isn't it? There's a fine balance between how do you manage the separation while there's somebody else involved. And clearly there's somebody else's feelings involved, but I know what it's like. I mean, that's the draw, isn't it? The draw is that you want to be intimate. In any affair, as I said, you're getting the benefits, the bonuses, that tingly feeling, the connection, but you're not actually together. So it feels wonderful at the time, and it feels like that's the thing that you want. But ultimately, I would suggest hold off if you can. Just put a pause on that shit and go back to it later, and you might find that it really was just a fling. It was something that you were just trying to scratch an urge rather than it being something that was genuinely serious. And number three, the finances. Again, I made another video here if you want to check that out, where I go into a bit more detail about getting your finances in order. But in summary, basically, once you divorce, once you separate, that loving connection that you had turns into effectively a business deal, and you have to sit down with your spouse and work out what's what, who owns what, who has the debts, is the house in both names, who owns the cars, the credit cards. All of that stuff needs to be sorted out as a priority, and do that right away. Do that as soon as you possibly can. And ultimately, the law states that 50-50 down the line, if you had a prenup where that isn't the case, then that's a different scenario. But generally, you're going to have to suck it up, guys, and realize that if you're the person that has got more of the finances, less of the debt, then you may be looking at a scenario where you are going to have to give up half of what you own, and the debts that you own are going to be yours. You can't share them with your spouse. So they're the three biggies, guys. I hope you found that useful. I'd be really interested to hear from you in the comments if it's one of those three or if it's something else, and three other things to do straight away if that's the scenario you find yourself in. So thanks for watching this video. Hope it's been useful. Hope it's been valuable. Again, I want to state that, myself being a film director of 30 years, having gone through this, that I hope I can speak from a space of authority, but also just a space of just having gone through it. And it's not a lot of fun, guys. I respect where you are, and the best thing is to look after yourself, take care of yourself, think of yourself moving forward, keep healthy, keep fit, get your finances in order. If there's somebody else involved that you're being with, try your best to call that off for now and go back to that later. And I end all my videos by saying, love yourself, guys, love movies, it'll love you back. Really appreciate you watching this video. See you soon. Bye for now. If you're a filmmaker, a producer, or a creative director navigating a divorce or personal burnout, you're probably doing what high performers always do, trying to power through it. You're used to being the anchor for everybody else. But that personal chaos isn't staying contained, it's quietly stalling your creative engine. You've spent so many years building your career, you lost the man running it. I know that feeling because I've been there. Almost a decade ago, I lost my father. I was going through a divorce and I'd finished working on a film that had taken me 6 years to produce, and my whole world collapsed behind my ears. But right now, I'm not going to give you generic advice. You need cold, hard data. So what I've done is I've built a fast, precision, 30-minute diagnostic called the Personal Identity Audit. What it does is it forces you to look at the cold data across 3 core areas: your internal narrative, your professional boundaries, and your energy assets. It gives you an instant, awesome reality check score and a clear, non-emotional roadmap to fix the cracks and get your creative drive back. Click the link below. Look, it's only going to take you 30 minutes for yourself, and let's start rebuilding the man behind the craft.